guy, Roley.
Welcome to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. Today, we got Tim Roley, and y'all know my co-host John, and they had made me
Yeah.
laugh before starting this. How are
That
y'all
was
doing
Mike
today,
Roley.
guys?
Did you say Tim Roley?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike
Mike.
Roley. Mike Roley. Mike. All
I
right.
never wanted to be a Tim.
Let's talk about. Let's first introduce yourself and tell everybody what branch of service you were in, which I'm going to regret all this, and what your MOS and everything was.
Okay, well, I'm Mike Roley. I served in the Army, U.S. Army active duty from 1983 to 1992. Served most of it in Germany. Stateside, the only stateside unit I was ever assigned to was 15th Cav in Fort Knox, and that was for 8 months. And then I went right back overseas again. So pretty much the whole time in the military, my MOS was critical for overseas. So that's where I stayed. I deployed out of Germany with 427 FA, out of 72nd Brigade, out of Babenhausen, out of Wertheim, Germany. We moved to Babenhausen after we got back from the Gulf War. But long story short, I was a track command. I was a 6'3" Tango, which is a Bradley / MLRS mechanic. When I deployed as a track commander of an M88 heavy recovery vehicle, which is the largest recovery vehicle, track recovery vehicle in the U.S. Army's inventory. And played in the sandbox for 7, 8 months, and then deployed back to Germany. And my problems were getting pretty severe. I had a reaction to the anthrax vaccination on the ground in Saudi Arabia, because I touched on it a little bit when we originally talked, but I went with the unit's equipment. We put it on a railhead in Germany and sent it to Antwerp, Belgium, and I ended up taking a cruise boat, a Greek cruise freighter, 30-day ride to Saudi Arabia, and missed several of the vaccinations and a few of the things that they were doing prior to deployment. And so when I got to Saudi Arabia, first priority was to offload the equipment and get it all operational and ready to move, which we had the movement orders within 3 days. So they rushed me and got me all these vaccinations and shots, and I hit the ground right there in Saudi Arabia. And I wish to this day that I'd have kept the medicine that they were giving me, because I couldn't have been the only one that happened to, because they did have medicine, and I was taking it for pretty much the whole time I was over there. And it was, I had severe stomach cramps, couldn't stand up straight, just body cramps. It was actually pretty terrible, but I dealt with it. You had to suck it up. U.S. Army, and that's what I did. And like I said, my health just wouldn't. I kind of chalked it up, or to be honest, I did chalk it up to. It was during the time when the Army was drawing down in 91, 92, after we got done with the Gulf War, and so we were definitely not up to, out of 40 guys in the headquarters platoon that we should have had, we might have had 20. So I was an E5 promotable, and I was an E7 slot. And I just thought, this is just the work. It's the stress. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but I couldn't sleep. My heart was palpitating all the time. My body hurt all the time. I was just, I really still didn't want to say it had anything to do with the Gulf War, even though I knew I had the reaction to the anthrax, which was nothing new to me, because as a child I had a reaction to Demerol. So to me, I wasn't going to blame the military for my problems. I was just going to get out and take the energy that I was burning up in the Army and use it to do my own thing. And I just kept going downhill and downhill and downhill, and finally about 95. I hit the ground at work. I was at work, and I hit the ground, started doing a little convulsions, and they called the ambulance, and I was only like two miles from the hospital. And this was in Broward County, Florida, Fort Lauderdale. And after they did all these tests on me, and this was, like I said, early 1995, possibly 96, the doctor came in and was talking to me, and he discharged me. But on the discharge paperwork, it read Gulf War syndrome. And I was going, what? And I'd already had experience with my driver who had come down to live with me for a little while. And he was sick all the time and vomiting all the time and just couldn't sleep. A lot of the same symptoms, but not all the same. And when I saw that Gulf War syndrome thing, I started thinking, you know what, let me start doing some research. A little bit I could do back then online. There was still some information and very little. And I started realizing, hey, this is the military's fault. It's really not me. And because I'd been going to civilian doctors, I had really good civilian insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and when I'd talk about my heart with them, my heart palpitating all the time, I wouldn't even bring up the fact that, hey, I had a reaction to the anthrax vaccination, this and that. And so it took several years for me to admit that, hey, look, this is something far beyond my control. And that's where I started going to the VA.
And that's true. I mean, that's 100% true because, we have Sarah on the program, and that had vaccine injuries. The last guy that I forgot his name because I can't remember names very well.
Yeah, no worries.
But he, I'm telling you, Mike, when you talk to him, he's the only one from the Gulf War that has been diagnosed with vaccine injuries. And he was telling us all about that. I'm like, how can you be the only one that has a VA rating?
Well, just a little bit of, I'll interrupt just for a second because a whole lot, to include myself, after I finally got a real comp and pension hearing, which was in 2000. So I fought several years to get to that point. But one of the things that was in my comp and pension paperwork was they had actually contacted DOD, and it didn't say what they released or anything else, but it said information from DOD. So I'm pretty sure, they have a list and say, okay, this person did, that, because I came back 100% service connected, total and permanent, right out the chute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And even though it took me so long to get to that point, but there was a lot more to it. Like, every day for over a year, every morning when I got up and I was drinking my coffee, and this was the infancy of the internet, but I was still pretty savvy at the time. And every morning I had typed up a letter, and every morning I hit the send button to the president, the vice president, their wives, and I'm pretty sure that would include the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And I hit them every morning. I hit the send button. Boom, boom, boom.
Good.
That was also on my comp and pension hearing paperwork too. Your letters to the president. So
that probably helped you.
No, I'm sure it did. I mean, I'm sure it did. But sometimes, excuse me. I knew, I was. How do you say this? I just knew I was fighting a righteous battle. I mean, they had treated me like crap. They had torn up paperwork in my face and just all kinds of crap. And as I told Kevin, I pretty much in 1999, I took a leave of absence knowing I was never going to come back to work, and went to war against the VA. And that's where I really dug my heels in and started meeting the right people, started kicking some doors in DC with Denise Nichols' help. And she was basically the first one that I had met in DC. And she took me around and introduced me to a lot of this, senators, congressmen, and their representatives. And so that's how I got my start. And I just didn't give up, and even though I was fighting hard, I mean, at one point I was on 14 prescriptions. I couldn't function. I just, and it wasn't helping me. It was just giving me other problems. And yeah, so the story continues. But I've learned a lot in the last 30 years, and
well, I think
go ahead.
Well, I think it's super important. I mean, we always talk about advocating for yourself, and like we were talking right before we went live, Mike. I told you I was really interested in you. The MLRSs and the Bradleys, because I mean, you guys. As you're rolling down and all the dust, Now you're talking about pills. I'm guessing you're referring to the PB tablets that they had us ingest. At least
yeah, we definitely. That's one of the things I did, and I'm so happy that being the track commander of an M88, and I pretty much had the only operational 88 in the battalion the whole deployment. So
yeah, so Kevin, I'm gonna be a smart ass. So
Yeah, okay,
Kevin,
wait. I want everybody to know there's 2 Army guys against a Navy guy right now. And this
we don't hold nothing
so,
against
I mean, this is like having 2 damn Marines against a Navy guy right now. I mean, I would feel better if I had 2 Air Force against me, but y'all go ahead and that's what I want y'all to do. I want y'all kind to, I want y'all to tell everybody about kind of what your jobs were, because y'all are in Army, but 2 different jobs.
yeah, well, go ahead, Mike. What you did. I mean, we all had our jobs there, but I think because of the tanks, that's when the Bradleys and the Abrams, that was kind of their big show, and the MLRSs. I mean, I talked about proving grounds, but the Gulf War was definitely a proving ground.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, what John is actually saying is your job was more interested than his damn job.
Well,
I mean, I think that's
probably.
kind of what I think John was
It's all
saying.
the eyes of the beholder, but yeah, we definitely our job was to shoot, move, and communicate, and and of course my job along with that came recovery. Whether it be a broke down vehicle, a vehicle that might have been hit by friendly fire, and/or the Iraqis, and so I definitely saw enough just in the few days that the war took place, and I it was definitely intense. It was definitely real, and and that's one of the problems that I think a lot of the country doesn't understand. It was such a short war, and it was, but if you take into account the amount of casualties in that short war, it was pretty intense combat. I mean, it was there was times that you definitely puckered. Okay, am I going to come out of this?
Puckered is right.
Yeah, well, there was one time I had a launcher. We had fired a mission. The Iraqis had counter-fired, but missed us by about a kilometer, which was kind of funny, but not really, because you didn't know if they're going to walk it in on you. And one of my launchers broke down, and so we're trying to hook up, and the rest of the unit, shoot, move, and communicate. Like I said, that all right, so Roley, you're on your own. You know where we're going. You catch up as soon as you can, and yeah, I had pretty intense experience with that, and the recovery missions on multiple occasions, and but the bottom line is, it was intense, it was short, but it was definitely war. And just step back to the PB pills that you had brought up, John. I was lucky. That's where, being a track commander of an 88, I was in headquarters platoon, but I was never there. I was off doing recovery missions, repair missions. It didn't matter. And when they issued us the PB pills, they put us in formation.
I was just going to ask, did they make you go on formation?
Yeah, they put us in formation, and right there, I said something's not right. So they made us take them, and I think I might have taken 2 or 3, maybe 4, 5 at the most. But by the time they released me to go do what my job was, this is the first thing I told the crew: if you don't take them, I'm not saying a word. And I flipped mine off the track, out the TC hatch, and wasn't going to take another one. But
TC is Tank Commander Hatch.
I'm sorry,
Navy guys.
Oh yeah, well, hey, you hey, I knew what a hatch was. That's about the only thing I know what a Bradley is. I mean, heck, I seen war movies where Bradleys were used.
Oh yeah, no.
I can't help myself.
I knew somewhere down the line a Navy joke was coming in. But here, John and Mike. So what a lot of people don't understand is the anthrax shot. A lot of them were tainted. And I mean, why most people needed 5 shots? Hell, I don't know.
You just to interrupt for just for 1 second. You know anything about Admiral Crowe? Just wondering.
No, I don't.
might want to look into that a little bit whenever you have free time.
Yeah.
It's
Admiral Crow.
it's a hell of a conspiracy, but the bottom line is he had the vaccination facility. Him and Bush Senior had the vaccination facility closed down because they knew there was a problem. But what's funny about it is after Admiral Crowe retired, and you can find all this information. It just takes a little bit of research, a little bit of time. After he retired, guess what he bought? 51%
Ain't that
of the
amazing?
anthrax. Yeah, yeah. Him and the Bushes. Bushes had their hands in it
Oh
too.
yeah. I mean, and
So
that's just it.
so the second go around, during the second Gulf War or whatever you want to call it, I don't know what is it called? Operation Iraqi Freedom or
Yeah,
whatever.
Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Yeah, yeah. Politicians had their hands in that and in those pockets too. So because we fought in the '90s for them to no more of this anthrax crap. That's bogus. And we thought we had won that battle, but apparently not, because as soon as this most recent war kicked off, we knew that back in the early 2000s they were up to their old
Yeah,
trick.
and on top of that, I mean, hell, I mean the P-tabs, when they told everybody stop taking P-tabs, I mean, right there should have been an indication. Okay, there's some shit really going on, and so that and for what a lot of people who are just new to the program that wants to listen to it later on or anything like this, Desert Storm, yes, it was a quick war, but it was a very big chemical war. I mean, you had with the oil rigs, the burn pits. I mean, with
Yeah.
Saddam flying over, spraying stuff on us now that we're finding out. I mean, there's so much. And so today, the Senate finally passed the PACT Act. And I mean, we'll get a little bit into that, which I'm glad. But I hope the money goes where it's supposed to go, and it better damn near go where it's supposed to go. But I am relieved that the burn pits and Camp Lejeune, Desert Storm, Iraqi Freedom, because if you ever listen to the President of the United States or any of them, they will bring up every war but Desert Storm. And I don't understand that.
Well, I think my personal opinion, and it's always been this way, my personal opinion, because I saw them. I mean, I saw multiple munitions that were supplied by us, by the French, by the British, and a lot of these chemical weapons, they came from us, so it would behoove them to, they don't want the American public knowing what Rumsfeld and Reagan, and I love Ronald Reagan. He was my commander in chief for many years. And, but, between him and Rumsfeld and all the equipment and chemical weapons that they supplied to Saddam in the mid to late '80s, next thing you know, we're in theater having to take that stuff out. I honestly think they don't want to, they just don't. They just not that they don't want to admit it. They just don't want it to be publicized
Right.
so
I
much.
mean, that's why they took it out of the PACT Act, the first PACT
Yeah.
Act. And that's a shame. They should have left it in because once they had a mission of guilt, whenever they said sarin gas, I mean, hell, it'd be 80, I'll probably be 80 years old by the time they come out and say, oh, yeah, well, this, we had sarin gas, we had mustard gas up there. And I mean, it's just true. It is.
Oh, I mean, we all say it, and because most of us experienced. I listened to your video, your first YouTube podcast earlier, and our MA alarms went off multiple times, and I'll get the all clear, and there's nothing to worry about, or malfunction, the equipment's malfunctioning, and that's one of the things that was kind of hilarious, or not hilarious, concerning would be more the right word. We get over there and all of a sudden our M17 and M25 masks aren't good enough. And, we've been training to go to war against the Russians for, how long, and this stuff works, and, you can rely on it. And all of a sudden we get over where we start getting positive tests or positive readings or alarms. All of a sudden our stuff's broke, what? So
And we have a question on here. The PACT Act passed 86-11. Okay, but Christy, she said, how do you feel about the class action lawsuit against oh God, I can't even say that freaking word, methylclin for the 2005 to 2013 veterans, they left out the PGWI veterans. Yes, PGWI likely took. I don't even know what that word is because it's MELFOQUINE. Mefloquine.
Mescaline?
Yeah,
Mescaline?
yeah. Malaria
I
pills.
vaguely
Thank
remember
you,
something, but-
Christy. Malaria pills.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
malaria pills.
Okay, that's
Okay.
good. Yeah, for Honduras, Saudi, Haiti, and Somalia. They still take them today.
I took malaria pills.
I think. I mean, be honest with you. Anybody who goes overseas right now, I mean, they have to take the malaria pills. I mean, even if they work for oil companies or anywhere, but mixed with everything that they gave us, I mean, it just added into it.
Well, we had a hell of a cocktail. We all know that. I mean, yeah.
We will never be able to sue the United States government, Christy.
Well,
And I hate to say it, the only ones who will benefit from this PACT Act to me is Camp Lejeune, and the families need it. I honestly believe. I mean, hell, you're talking about all the way from World War II, the Korean War, all the way up to Desert Storm. They were poisoned. They were poisoned by our own damn government, and they knew it.
Like I said, when I watched the news, they said the PACT Act was passed. Okay, and the American people, military are like, oh, good, they're taking care of our veterans, and then what I think would be, for a lack of a better word, somewhat entertaining, if they would go very quickly, pick the highlights of this was what was passed. I mean, clearly they can't go through it all, but the verbiage is such that, they don't specify. That's where sometimes you got to bring in an attorneys. Okay, it says it covers this, but it's really non-descriptive,
right.
And it's like, what did you really do?
Right, and Christy put in here, she said the lawsuit about the manufacturer. Well, hell, 3M, the manufacturer, them, hell, they're being sued. I don't know about the manufacturer of that.
I don't know if you guys know, but way back when, and the attorney was in Texas. Hopefully it'll come to me before the show's over, but there was a class action lawsuit. A lot of us early, complainers back in the 90s were on that lawsuit, and it was directed towards Iraq using chemical weapons. And the law firm fought it for years, and they finally gave it up because of the fact that it was going to turn around and come back to having to sue U.S. companies and of course, overseas companies that we're friendly with. And so they pretty much stopped pursuing it because, there was no way they would outlast the lawyers.
That's such BS.
Yeah,
and I will say this, because not being in the Army, which I'm just telling everybody right now, no way on God's green earth would I have been in a Marine or if I would have been in the Army. My little ass, and I'll say it, John, my little ass did not want to get shot at. That's why I joined the Navy.
Yeah. But Navy
did you get shot at in the Navy, Kevin? I mean, did you take incoming on the ship?
That
don't even sound proper for some reason.
Hey, how many? I just got a question for you. I mean, don't you have a few carrier groups looking at some serious danger as we speak?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Navy gets shot at too.
I mean, look at the USS Cole. Look at the USS Cole. I mean, I remember when we got the heads up about speedboats, and I was thinking, damn, I hope our gunner's mates are good. Because I was on a supply ship. If anybody knows anything about a supply ship, we delivered everything. I mean, from missiles to jet engines to Coca-Cola to salads. I mean, believe it or not, the salads may be brown, but that's what we did. But for the Army, you guys who were on the ground, yeah, I mean, it was a lot more, because I know our ship was one of the first ones that got out there, but everybody thinks everybody was there about 3 months. Oh, hell no. There were guys out there for years.
Yeah, I mean, today, didn't somebody had posted on one of the sites that today was the day that Iraq invaded Kuwait.
Yeah, it's got to be really close. Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
is.
think it was
It is
today.
today.
Yeah, which kind of I remember very distinctly. I was in Karlsruhe at the time, and I remember we were been given orders. Okay, we're going to be leaving, and I remember sitting at the kitchen table and telling my wife my biggest concern, my number one concern, was chemical attack. And here we are.
Here we
You
are,
know?
35 years later, talking about and Desert Storm veterans are aging faster than any other veteran.
We're dying faster too.
We are.
And I think it's really amazing. I have a young brother over in Korea right now, young army guy, and he's encountering problems, and he didn't want to really talk about those problems. So I didn't actually have an opportunity to speak with the young man. But the men and women who hear our podcasts, or however they're able to get the information, there's some of the men and women out there that don't understand what's going on with their bodies. And this information, I think, is really important because they don't know how to deal with it. And because you can't, I mean, if you're active duty now, I don't care what branch you're in, you're going to complain so many times and they're going to throw up red flags, and then it's a shit show for yourself, But those veterans who have long since departed from the service, and they don't know until they hear us talking about it. Like, wait, what did they say?
Yeah.
We say we're in the Gulf War and we're having a lot of problems because of the things we were exposed to, or the things we put in our bodies, or the equipment that we ran, or the munitions that we shot off, or yada, 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 so much stuff. And like Mike, you fought it early on. It didn't come across to me till much later. I mean, I knew there was problems, but not like yourself. You knew right away.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew, but didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, yeah. I mean, and that's a lot. And like you said, there's so many still out there, that, and, and I'm not saying taking anything away from today's warriors. I mean, hey, I salute every one of them. But, the last thing you're going to do, especially if you're trying to, go towards a career, is blame the military for anything. I mean, it's going to take
right.
years, and you suck it up and you drive on. Improvise, overcome, and adapt, or adapt, improvise, adapt, and overcome.
That's ingrained in us very early.
Right. So and that's that helps the government out quite a bit, I'd say. But as we're all getting much older now, and all these, and we're not that old, but serious health conditions in their 40s and 50s, and a lot of people in their 30s, and we deployed healthy individuals, and that's the bottom line. And as I told Kevin, we didn't just get lazy. Something happened, and for some of us, like you said, some of us, it hit us pretty hard right away, and some of us it took a little longer, but then again, there's a whole lot of young men and women that, that are not sitting here today, and because of their service in the Gulf War, and I don't care what the government says or what anybody else says, that is the truth.
I heard
alive and well today.
I heard something today that shocked me. Do you know that there were more suicides when they voted it down the first time from veterans?
Well, I believe it. Yeah.
I heard that today. I heard it today, and I was blown away. That, like, don't give up.
But that's such a hard thing. I mean,
it is not knowing if you're going to have the care.
Support. You've got to have that family support. If it wasn't for my children, excuse me, if it wasn't for my children, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I could tell you that. Now, thank the Lord that I had young children, and I knew I still had a mission in life, and I had to figure out a way to feed them and keep a roof over their head, clothes on their, on their back. But I totally get it. I mean, there was times, and I heard you today on your podcast, when I was listening to you talk about your neuropathy. I mean, there's been times laying in bed where I could have easily pulled the trigger. You know, I was just hurting so bad, and just the pain. And, you know, what do you say? You haven't slept in days, and you just, you know, wow, this is incredible. You know, so it's, you know, it's really difficult to push through, and that's one of the biggest things that mentally affected me is, you know, I've had several friends remove themselves from this wonderful world that we live in, and you know, and I understand. You know, I don't understand. I understand the circumstances of what brought them to that because I was there. But you know, as Paul Lyons is a good example. I'd heard Denise bring him up. You know, he was a good friend, and we did a lot of work together and a lot of door kicking in together. And you know, it just got too much for him, and you know, he took his life. But you know, what really hurt me the most, besides him taking his life, obviously, was he sent me an email, and I've had a few of those, and I didn't read between the lines quick enough of what was going on. And you know, and then they take their life, and you're going, you know, hell, I could have stopped that possibly, you know, but I wasn't paying attention enough, or I wasn't, you know,
And it does. I mean, it's true. I mean, one of my, you know, one of my closest friends in the Navy, I just found out in the early 2000s, you know, that he committed suicide. And when I first, because I've been looking for him, and for one day, I don't know what happened, an obituary came up, and I saw his name out of Virginia. So I called his brother. His brother didn't want anything, but I ended up finally convincing his sister to talk to me, and I sent her pictures of me and him hanging out, and they said, "Well, why didn't you ever get a hold of him afterwards?" It in the military, people get discharged or they get taken out quickly that you don't have time, and then when you get out, you don't have the internet. Back then,
right. That's back then. Today's guys are a little bit different, but yeah, back then we didn't.
that's right. I mean, a mailing address is all we had back then.
Phone number, you know, that or a phone number, but yeah, and you know, that's helped us a lot, though. I mean, you know, I was not going to join Facebook. I just wasn't going to do it until one of my good friends, you know, convinced me to, and I'm glad I have because now I've reconnected with a lot of the guys I've served with and served with over there, and but then again, you just bring in more because you start learning. Oh, we lost him. You know, he's dying of this. You just, you know, so but. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Right, but the men and women that put on their uniforms and they go out on the battlefield, when they come home, they deserve better treatment than what they went in, and they deserve to come back home as they were when they went in, mentally and physically. And that's the problem. I've always said the biggest thing the VA could do, or the military, really not the VA, the military. Everybody should have to mandatory take a 3-month detoxification from their brain. I mean, you think about it. You wouldn't have, you would not have the suicides today. Let me run that part of the VA. I guarantee you, my ass would be over there saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. As soon as they get out, they come and detox on a horse ranch, on a chicken farm. I don't care what kind of farm. But I literally know if you take a man or woman and they come home from the battlefield and you bring them back and you put them in civilian life, it's not the same.
Oh no, it's not. You know, you know, when I first got out, I'd have people tell me, you know, hey, you're not in the military anymore.
Right, right.
It's a hard adjustment, especially when you've got a few years in, and definitely, you know, it's
no,
definitely adjustment.
Definitely a hard adjustment. And on the word of adjustment, Mike, what kind of things have you done that you feel that have helped you? Aside from family, what kind of things? Whether it's
a lot.
What do you do to help yourself get through things?
I've done a lot. You know, I've taken the VA's tests and this and that, and listened to what they have to say, and a lot of times out of my own pocket, I would go have other tests done. I'll use this one I remember the most is I had a heavy metals test, hair follicle test that I paid for out of pocket, and I came back. The VA told me, "Oh, you're good to go. You've got nothing. You're good." And the test came back. I was 3 times higher than the normal population on lead, arsenic, and zinc. All 3 heavy metals, all 3 part of some weapons out there. And so once I received that paperwork back and I took it to the VA, and the VA kind of laughed at it, said, "Oh, this lab can't be trusted." I said, "Oh, okay, that's why they're trusted by all, you know." But anyways, I did research, and this was back in say probably 2002 to between 2000 and 2003, somewhere in there. I went ahead and did what they call chelation therapy, and I paid for that all out of pocket.
What do you call it?
Chelation therapy. It's
Chelation.
it's kind of like chemotherapy, but it's not. It's chelation, and it's all natural stuff, but it's the same idea basically. It's you sit down for several hours and they pump this through your system and it removes heavy metals, and but it's natural. It's very few side effects, and
But you did this in the civilian world, not in the military?
yeah. As well, as soon as I saw the results, and I had talked to several naturopaths, you need to do something about that. You can't just, because I mean, I couldn't therefore what my last name was on certain given days. I just didn't have a memory. Everything was just a big difference. So I did that. I did the chelation therapy for months, several months, and retested again, and my results came back much better than the initial results. So I knew that had helped. And then I just, over the last decades, I've just learned, and as much as possible, okay, pharmaceuticals aren't working for me. And one of the reasons why I believe that is partially me. I mean, my body reacts really funny to a lot of pharmaceuticals, but I went more naturopath, and case in point, I got skin cancer a few years ago, and the VA wanted to it was on my nose, and they cut it off, and I had it on my arm, and they were going to graft me and destroy my nose and do all this other. I said, no. Well, I actually made the appointment, was going to go through with the surgery, and then I talked to an awesome lady who you guys definitely need to get on your show. Her name is Tanya Cummins Boozer, and I probably pronounced that wrong. She probably shoot me, but that's okay. She's a really wonderful person. She deployed. She's a sick Gulf War vet, had stage 4 bone cancer that she beat. But anyways, I called her up, kind of crying and complaining or whatever I called her up for, and she said, "No, cancel your surgery." She said, "We got this." And she makes her own tinctures, she really knows what she's doing when it comes to natural medicines. And she set me up, and 6 months later, I walked into the VA and said, after they freaked out because I canceled the appointment, canceled the operation, they were just freaking out. You can't do that. And I walked in 9 months later, and I was cancer free from her and her products. And they tried to take credit for it. They said, "Oh, we must have got it all." And he was just reading his notes, but he wasn't reading very well. And I held up my arm, my right arm. I said, "Well, what about my arm? You didn't graft that. It's gone." And
wow, that is amazing. I asked that specific question about how you treat yourself because so many of us veterans, as we talk, and the vast majority, if not all of us, I mean, none of us like popping pills. I mean, the VA likes to stuff our bodies through a lot of pills because they don't have a resolution. But right. The things that we've discussed on this program, I myself, I know I benefited you. I don't know. Kevin clearly has had success with some things he's used, and it's all through a study or through a fellow veterans that told us about, or just communication. And I think that's hugely important because I mean, trying to pull oneself out of the bowels of depression is
and it is
really difficult. No, I was just gonna say, we talk about those who've taken their lives in depression, it's tough because most everybody that's listening or hearing this, it probably has struggles with depression. And I'm not, we know what it's from. It's not something we like to admit to, but we're human beings. Okay. Yeah. And it is what it is. But I think it's important to what helps us, because we can all bitch all day long about what are problems. Okay, well, what are you doing to help it? We already know there's not a fix necessarily.
Right.
But there's help out there, whether it's mental help or information from other vets as well. I use this and this helps. Like, for example, Wade had told me, John, use this NT factor that Dr. Nichols came up with. Okay, I'm using it. And it helps. It helps. It absolutely helps.
I sure hope so. I was really reluctant. I really was, even though I know Dr. Garth Nicholson. It's just another drug the way I'm looking at it and going, and then after I listened to you guys and I listened to the interview you did with Dr. Garth Nicholson and that kind of drove it home and said, okay, Mike, you asked for help. Now go ahead and pull the trigger and start taking the stuff.
And exactly. Now, if anybody hasn't heard that episode, they need to go back and watch that. Because
I've only watched about 5 of yours so far, but out of all the ones I have watched, besides your first one, I watched to learn a little bit about you, Kevin. And, that very informative, very, very informative and very easily laid out for any of us to understand. And it's definitely worth a try. And I know that, it's not because I knew him. I got that off of your podcast. If you contact him, he's going to hook you up. You're not going to get it for free always, but that first you're going to get that first 6 months to find out.
But that's hugely important. The financial end of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if I saw that I had to spend $90 to find out, even though I probably have the $90 because I tried things, I'm just gonna it's just another one of those things.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. So, but I'm happy I ran into you guys. I'm happy that I was, that you guys have who you have interviewed, and tomorrow morning for me. I mean, I'm going to start tomorrow morning, and that's why I did have a couple questions. You guys do it on empty stomach, no problem?
Yeah. Now, Wade had suggested to me his experience for him. He liked the powder. I personally like it's a chewable tablet. To each their own. Yeah. You just got to try it and figure out what works for you. It doesn't matter for me whether it's on empty stomach or not.
Wild Branch is a truly pure cannabis oil. They make CBD containing 0 THC and no carrier oils. Use Wild Branch oils and salves to calm, cool, and soothe your body and leaving you pain-free. I know I've used it anytime that my feet burn because I have neuropathy real bad. When I use this product, this is a product I believe in. When you go to order, use promo code GWI22 for 22% off. GWI22 for 22% off is the promo code. Click the link below. Thank you. Now back to the show. Now listen to this. Robin, I got to say what Robin just says on here. She says, love NT Factor. And just let everybody know, we're also live on another social media because this is important. Today is important. I think every day is important.
So much going on.
The NT Factor, she's on her 3rd week. Nails are so long and strong. Dry calluses on my big toes disappeared and more. I mean, right there tells you. And I mean, right there tells you. But I'm going to let everybody else in on a little secret. That's great. I mean, if things start healing up, NT Factor, I'm getting a product myself, start on it. And she also said, great night's sleep. But mentally, I'm going to tell you, there's a guy out there. His name is Sean Lowry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You should go back and watch this interview with Sean. Mike, I am telling you, I don't know what episode it is, but they call him the Sir Veteran guy. This guy spent many of years battling drug addiction and all kinds of stuff and depression. I have seen, if I've ever seen any veteran pull more veterans out of suicide, it's that young man.
Awesome.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I am telling you, when he was on the show, you could feel his energy. He's on TikTok almost every night. But this young man is like another, Denise Nichols when it comes to information. But his is about mindset. He's written books. I mean, he took his journey and turned it into a platform that nobody else can beat for veterans on suicide. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Sean is an amazing guy, and I concur with everything. He army individual.
Yeah, another damn army guy.
We're all brothers, right? Somewhat we can flip each other's shit. But I think Sean was by chance he was under a combat engineer. That's it. Has gone through a lot of stuff, but he's very good. He can put the information out there. He's a very, very positive person. I think he's a very good speaker. And like you said, Kevin, he has helped a lot of veterans.
And he goes around, and it just ain't veterans. He's helping police, firemen. Women that have been sexually assaulted. And I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, this guy here, he spends his life helping people. And I mean, it's amazing. And I want to throw that out there because you got the NT factor. And then for people who are suffering with PTSD, y'all go look up Sean. Go. I mean, he's on Facebook, Sir Veteran guy.
Sean Lowry.
Sean Lowry. He's Sir Veteran guy. Go look him up if you're suffering from PTSD. Get a hold of him. The dude will give you his cell phone number and call you, and you can call him. I mean, it just amazes me. And this is Veterans Connecting, just like this program does. My program, yes, it is different because I want to bring veterans on and tell the story of Desert Storm and the Gulf Wars and what all of us veterans are suffering through. So the younger generations coming up can learn from us on what not to get involved in as far as knowing what to look out for, knowing what to do. Don't trust what your government tells you 24/7. I mean, it's true.
No, you are correct. But yeah, I mean, even though I have a son, my oldest son's in the Marine Corps. And that's sad to say because I love this country and I love the military and I dang sure love the U.S. Army. But I would have such a hard time trying to convince an 18-year-old to go in the military right now. I just would. I just, you don't see anything changing. And that's one of the things, and I didn't touch on what I've been doing the last few years, but last few years I was out having a pretty decent time. And I ran into one or two veterans from the current wars. One of them in particular was, a two-tour Afghanistan vet from the 82nd Airborne. And he's going through the same crap we all went through. It's just like looking in the mirror. The way things have not changed. And that's what I talked to you about. I did tell you that I took my oldest son with me to DC on several occasions just so he could see the other side. Hey, the military is great, but this is life after the military, and this is what you got to deal with. And he's still thriving, and that's awesome. But if my youngest son would tell me, Dad, I want to go in there, I would do my best to put a screen.
I'm the same way. Right now.
It sounds terrible, but.
Well, but on top of that is, I would take their place.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm already damaged goods. I mean, hell. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. And a few programs I said back, and I got a little bit of feedback from family members, but when they sit there and say, well, the government signed my death warrant, they did.
We're the ones that did this, and I'll be the first to admit it, we did.
Yes.
And like you touched on earlier, but as we did that, they also told us, hey, look, you're coming in 100%. If you don't leave 100%, we're going to take care of you.
Yeah, yeah, but
What
see
a
that.
lie. What a lie. I mean,
Well, see, I had the young man that I know that is over in Korea. He is rather upset about the fact he says, "Well, they lied to me." His recruiter, and I said, and although I didn't have the opportunity to talk to him, I'm like, well, did he lie to you, or did he just not? He withheld information. There's that fine gray line, you know. I
He
mean,
lied.
well, I mean, let's. They tell us what they want us to hear. Are they lying? Well, that's why they almost never give a yes or no answer. They beat around the bush, and that's So, I mean, I feel for the guys having problems, but
well, if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck.
yeah.
So actually, you were going to say if
exactly.
it smells like shit, it is shit, right?
I was gonna say that, but I had to think of something else.
That's okay.
I'd
I mean,
like to touch on just before, so I don't forget.
yes.
We were talking about some of the things that I've done to really help me, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
how many vets this will help, and I'm not sure, maybe the information's already out there, but get these chemicals out of your house. If bleach, all these, you need to go with natural cleaning supplies, as much natural as possible, because that's one of the things that definitely has helped me out, is getting the chemicals as much as I can control out of my operating area. I mean, I'll put it that way, out of my, it doesn't matter whether it's laundry soap, whether it's underarm, you know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Deodorant, thank you. Toothpaste. I mean, I've eliminated it all. I mean, and it helps me, but because I know, and there's a lot of other veterans like me that they won't even walk down the chemical aisle because they start having these problems.
Oh yeah,
and as
absolutely.
soon as you remove most of that stuff out of your house, not as soon. I mean, it takes a while, but you notice the difference. And then if somebody walks in your house and they're wearing a bunch of perfume, you go into this little, I don't know what to call it, because it's just a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
And I have that really bad. And I know a lot of other veterans do too. So if they haven't thought about that, is do your best. I mean, I'm talking about air fresheners. I'm talking, all that stuff is poison, especially when your body's already said, "Hey, I've had enough, no more." And then you keep putting it in and smelling it and wearing it. And it just, that's,
so the chemicals.
One thing I noticed that has gotten better with that, and I could be totally wrong, but I used to get the worst rashes that you could possibly imagine. I mean, just all over my body, and I'd take pictures. I'd go to the VA. I, showed several doctors up in DC, and they named it all these things and everything else. But as soon as I eliminated most of the chemicals, they very rarely come back. I still get them, but it's so rare, compared to what it was a weekly thing before. And it was something in my senses, I'd pick it up, my body'd pick it up.
What's weird is I got bruises that go down my spine.
Yeah.
I'm like,
They go down your spine?
Yeah, they did. They only go down my spine.
Really? Huh.
And they're like, "Oh, it's normal." How the hell is that normal?
That ain't normal.
No, that doesn't sound very
Here,
normal.
put some cream on it. Oh yeah, okay.
And then the last thing I'll bring up, is and I'm just trying to give some people out there, hey,
give them
I know
hope.
a lot of them are already doing it, and I heard you touch on this too. And I do have a slight sweet tooth, so I'm still a little bit of a failure.
Yeah.
But cut the carbs out. Your inflammation will go. It's night and day. I had a heart attack back in 2014 and had to have a stent, and I thought I was doing everything right. I mean, I was not eating red meat. I was not eating bacon. I was not eating butter. I was eating vegetables, juicing. I was doing all these things that everybody says you need to do. Well, I flipped that pyramid upside down. And since I've done that, the food pyramid I'm talking about, since I flipped that pyramid upside down, my inflammation, and I kid everybody not, my inflammation has gone down by at least 70%. I mean,
wow.
And that's by cutting bread, the carbs from bread, the sugars from bread. I mean, I still eat a little bit of bread here, once in a while. I'll treat myself, but bread's it's off the list. Most vegetables, most fruits, it's shooting our sugar levels so high, and I never believed it. I really didn't until I did it. I tried it. I found a doctor online and I talked to him about it. We discussed it. I said, well, I don't know if I can do that. And like I said, I'm still struggling, but going basically to a carnivore / keto diet, I lean more towards the carnivore.
Hell yeah.
I do so much better, and it doesn't take long for you to feel the effects.
And let me tell everybody, because Ron put down cut gluten and dairy out. One day my wife brought home these chicken nuggets in a bag, and it said gluten free, and I'm thinking, oh God, gluten free. Best damn chicken nuggets I've ever had. And the bread isn't as bad as I thought it would be, but I don't eat a lot of bread anyway. I mean, I'm not a bread fan to begin with. I can't have dairy, so I don't have to worry about that at all because I'll pop out a kidney stone like it's a baby.
No.
I was juicing even when my kids. I would juice for them every morning. I was juicing for several years. I mean, vegetables and fruits and just all this stuff. And my blood work would come back so messed up. It was unbelievable. And I couldn't understand it. I mean, I really couldn't. And the doctors, but anyways, after I've made this change, and it's a relatively recent change because I've just been, I've been through my prostate cancer battle here very recently. And that's where I made the decision is it was either go total vegetable, give up meats altogether, which I wasn't really eating meats, or flip it upside down. And I tell you what, I eat beef, eggs, bacon, butter. I mean, fats, good, solid fats.
That's what I just found out about the doctor. He says eat fatty foods.
Man, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's just us or whatever, or just me, but it has tremendously changed my life when it comes to the amount of pain I'm dealing with.
That's great.
So I can just suggest to people, maybe look into it. And that's what I wanted to touch on. My blood work now, and I warned my doctor, my primary care provider at the VA. I told her, I said, look, this is what I'm doing. And I don't even bring up the Gulf War with my primary cares because it doesn't do any good. I get the deer in the headlight look. So, but anyways, during this prostate cancer scare and everything else, I told her, look, this is what I'm doing. And she kind of chuckled a little bit. I said, I get it. My cholesterol is going to go up, and I know I'm not taking the cholesterol medicine. Just get over it. And my triglycerides used to be 500-600, and I couldn't explain how or why. I mean, I had a little bit of sweets, but I didn't drink sodas. I didn't, I drink water and coffee and a little bit of milk. So anyways, my last test, my triglycerides were 80. They were in the 80s. Wow. I haven't been in the 80s on my triglycerides since I was a child. And that's what sets off a lot of heart conditions is not cholesterol. If you do the research and you really look into it, and it takes a lot of looking into, it's triglycerides. That's what really causes.
Hell, now I'm going to go look at my damn blood test.
Well, I know that eating correctly is definitely a positive thing, and for a lot of us, depending on how your abdomen. I think every single guest, we at some point talk about the abdominal pain and how that affects us. But eating correctly, I know, is hugely important. And for those people who didn't catch it, I know when I'm advertising, I don't give a shit because it's going to help the veterans. This NT factor, November Tango factor. It's the energy lipids. Look at that. And again, I don't know. I want to say, is it episode number 58 where we had Dr. Nichols on?
NT factor.
Yeah, get that, Dr. Nichols. Well, you got to. I think the information is on there. He'll tell you how to get a hold of him. He'll get that stuff sent for you. Initially, it's of no cost, but like anything, eventually it's going to cost. But you can find it relatively inexpensive. You can get in a powder, and you can get in a chewable, whatever works for you, whatever you like the best. It has helped me with my fatigue. And I know we've all talked about having a reason to get up in the morning, getting our ass out of bed, and having the energy to go do some exercise, which is not always easy. I'm a big guy, and it's the mindset. But definitely eating the right things and staying away from crap. I got a sweet tooth as well, Mike. I know how difficult that is.
But but eating the right things is a double-edged sword because everybody's looking at that pyramid saying, okay, I need to eat this way. And again, I was avoiding red meats, not eating bacon, not eating butter, not, all these bad things. And I could never get my blood work straight. Now that I'm eating all these bad things, my blood work is better, except for my cholesterol didn't go up like I expected it to. And the doctors warned me, he said, yeah, your cholesterol is probably going to go up, but don't sweat it. It is what it is.
That's the bacon.
But,
yeah, I'm not going to stay. I live in freaking Iowa. I am not going to stay away from bacon.
No shit.
I'm not.
You can't.
We're right in the middle of corn season, sweet corn, and so I'm going to slab on the butter. I'm going to eat that. All the really we talked. The doctors, well, that's bad stuff. Well, you know what? I'm going to eat it. As long as I'm not. I don't have any stock in Little Debbie's, but I have a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
So I eat a little.
But the other thing is too, besides eating right and taking care of your body, spiritual. It really is. I mean, I'm not saying you got to run out and be a Christian or anything like that, but for me, my church family is very, very important. And let me tell you, I'm very close to my pastor, my youth pastor. I'm very close to all of them, and they keep up. They watch the show and everything. They ask questions, and I love them for it because they're as passionate about this as I am.
See, that's one of my problems is I can't open up to people the way, I used to be able to, but I've kind of withdrawn.
But when you find a group, I'm not just saying church family, but when you find that group, then you can open up, just like how we're opening up now. I mean, 2 Army guys against a Navy guy.
We're all brothers, and that's what's cool.
That's right.
We're all brothers and sisters. I'm not neglecting them either.
That's right, brothers and sisters all the way. I mean, what one struggles with, we all are, and we need to help each other out. I mean, if anybody ever wants to talk, they know how to get a hold of me. Heck, I put my stuff on every platform out there I can because I'm trying to reach out to veterans that need help, even if filing or if they want to talk or, I keep getting denied. We try to help them. I mean, I probably work with 3 or 4 a day.
Awesome. Thank you, by the way, for picking up that mantle. But, yeah, and it gives you a purpose. Maybe that's what I need to get back into again, because I had a purpose for a long time, and now I'm struggling with, my kids are all grown. It's just me and the wife and the dogs, and so I'm definitely struggling, and that. I mean, I enjoyed it. There was, I told you about Matt Letterman. I went and picked him up in Arkansas and did some things, and helping other veterans is a wonderful thing, and it really makes you feel good. And it's just, I think my problem, excuse me, my problem was I guess I just watched too much, or I don't know. It just finally took its toll when Mike Woods passed away, and then Steve not long after him, and just all these people passing away. I was waiting to, like I said to you the other day, is today going to be my day?
Right.
And you pretty much, you get to a point where you accept that, and you just try to push on. And again, like John says, you got to get up and you got to make yourself walk or exercise or whatever the case may be. And, it's hard. I'm pushing 59 years old, and this battle's been going on for 30 years. And so how many out there in that same boat? All of us. And all of us. And, it's getting tougher and tougher. But again, maybe it's just, I should get back involved. And I used to help with claims. I had a good time. I mean, I knew a lot of really good people, and it was really good. But You know,
Well, I think you should, Mike. Get back into claims and get back into help because you got to. Well, I mean, you guys.
The biggest, not to interrupt you, but the biggest reason I think I took a step back, and this will be me being me, the VA really gets my heart rate up. And the last thing I want to do anymore is get my heart rate up. And the Sergeant Roley comes out no problem when he needs to.
Let me tell you, while I walk up to the VA, I just tilt my head down and go, son of a bitch.
Well, you want a real quick one. This has got to, you know, this is wonderful. Hear me out on this one real quick. I go through my comp and pension. I get all these, you know, 40% chronic fatigue, 40% fibromyalgia, PTSD, 70%, a whole bunch of 10s from the training accident I told you about that I was involved in, and 10% on my heart, anthrax, and 10% on a hiatal hernia. Back in 2014, I had a heart attack. Back in 2015, so they gave me 10% on my heart for the palpitation. And I'd have to go look at my paperwork, the exact terms they use. But anyways, it was 10% on my heart and another 10% on a hiatal hernia. 2015 rolls around. They don't even notify me. They go in, open up my file, redo my comp and pension on me, took my 10% of my heart away after I had a heart attack.
No shit.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, no shit. They took 10% my heart rating and my hiatal hernia rating they took away. Both were at 10%. It didn't hurt my rating at all, and I didn't even know it happened until after the fact when I moved out to Oregon for a little while, and I was talking to them. They said, "You don't have a rating on your heart." I said, "Yes, I do." And long story short, no, I don't. They took it away. But I went and took my original comp and pension hearing paperwork, said, "Here it is." They about shit themselves because they didn't even notify me. I didn't even know it took place until afterwards. So that tells you how the VA really is. I mean,
yeah.
If I've had a heart attack, they know I've had a heart attack. I'm already rated at 10%, and they pull it.
But here's the thing about it. What the hell is up with Oregon? Because everybody who I talk to have the hardest time in Oregon. Jason, which he's watching. And
I'm sorry to all my Oregon brothers and sisters. I mean,
but
I
it's
love
true
Oregon.
for some reason.
I joined the military from Oregon, but Oregon, if you're a veteran, and we're going to hear some crap, then that's fine. You know, shoot me an email and complain to me all you want. Oregon treats its veterans like crap. The civilians, for the most part, treat their veterans like crap.
That's so sad. I tell you what, where I live, I think the VA, for me, the VA has been really good. And I mean, but I know I walk in there because as soon as I say Desert Storm or Gulf War illness or toxins, I get that look like, oh God, you know. Yeah. But like Jason's like, 10%'s a joke, and they should increase it. But Jason made an important notice back. To repair your cells, you need a lot of sleep. You need rest.
Sure.
I mean, it is true. I mean, I agree with that 100%.
Oh, me too. That's one of my number one to this day struggles is I don't sleep. I still 3 years and I don't sleep. And
so I'm going to tell everybody this story because since you didn't only watch but 4, I'm kind of hurt. But anyway.
Well, I had family in town. Trust me, I'll probably watch all your podcasts.
Now listen to this. So I walk in the VA and I have neuropathy, and they scale it between a 1 and an 8 is how they scale it. I'm at a 6. So he's like, "Hey, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you this cream. When you put it on, it's gonna burn like hell. For 60 minutes after that, it will go away." I'm thinking, okay, all right. I put it on my feet. And nothing, not a damn thing. I'm thinking this shit is a joke. So I lay down. Remember, here's some key words you're not hearing. I lay down to go to sleep. Well, about 1:30 in the morning, I had to get up and go to the bathroom. The key word was I never washed my hands of that stuff. But when I went pee, I was in that damn shower.
Oh,
I was screaming my freaking head off, and it lasted. It felt like an eternity, but it lasted about, I'd say about 90 seconds. I mean, I
Oh,
was in tears.
yeah.
I was in tears. And it's funny now, but I'm telling you, I took that cream, I put it in the trash can, and I went, oh, hell no. So they give me lidocaine. I put it on my feet. Now my feet's freaking, all the skin is falling off of the bottom of my heels. I'm like, what the hell? Well, come to find out, lidocaine's a steroid. You can't use it as much as they tell you to use it. So I have holes, where there are no skin. They're healing up now because I got off of it. I got some stuff called Healthy Feet. Good shit. But it's just like, you know what? These damn VA doctors, and here's the kicker. So I was like, well, what else does my medication have? Anybody out there who takes pregabalin? It causes neuropathy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's one of the biggest problems, I think. And I'm not to interrupt you real quick, but that's one of our biggest problems is some of them, they're causing other problems. And it's just compounding. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. And then tremors, increases tremors. And I am so pissed off. I was like, you got to be shitting me. I was like, these doctors, like, oh, you got tremors because of, I don't know why you got tremors. Well, could it be from the medication? Oh, no, it's not from the medication. But it clearly states most commonly side effect, tremors. I don't get it.
Well, the other thing I don't get, and I'm right now, I mean, even though I've had the heart attack, I've got all these problems, I'm taking no pharmaceuticals, not even for my heart attack.
Good for you.
I'm done with pharmaceuticals unless
You don't take even anything to help you sleep?
It's never worked. I mean,
No.
let me rephrase that. The only thing that's ever worked for me, which is another kick in the pants, they took from me. Way back when they started putting me on lorazepam, and that stuff had me, I was like a zombie. I couldn't function. It wasn't working for me. But then they switched me over to what they call clonazepam or clonazepam.
Yeah.
I call it clonazepam. But anyways, that's the only drug that's ever given me any real relief when it comes to my panic attack / whatever it is, and they say it's PTSD, and I know I have a little bit of problem with PTSD. I'll be the first to admit it, but when I walk in a chemical environment, that's got nothing to do with PTSD, and that sets me off, and my body starts shaking, and I could take one of those clonazepams or a half a clonazepam, and I would just calm right down and be able to come back down to earth.
That's
and it would
amazing.
go a couple nights without sleeping. If I popped a whole one instead of a half of one, I'd get 3 or 4 hours worth of sleep. But in their infamous wisdom, all the drugs that I take, they decided to take that from me. So,
Of course.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: Primidone. I'm on that for the tremors. I used to have. I mean, lately I don't know what it is. My head's been a little foggy, but I think it's because it's. I don't know what it is really, but it has. If they would go up just 10 more milligrams, it would completely clear the fogginess out of my head. That stuff is amazing.
And there's nothing worse than that fogginess that you're talking about.
Yes.
Well, I asked about the sleep because I take Zolpidem, extended release, and they used to be on 10 milligrams. And my son said, "Hey, Dad, why don't you have them put on extended release?" I said, "They make an extended release?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." The only bad side to that, and who knows what the long-term side effects are, and I don't want to go through them because I'll probably start twitching or some shit. But that'll knock you out, and that stops me because I'm always thinking about stuff, and it'll kind of shut my brain off, and then I can go to sleep for about, I don't know, I get on average maybe 5 hours of sleep a night, maybe if I'm lucky.
Oh, hell, I'm jealous.
What's the name of it?
Zolpidem.
Zolpidem.
Yeah.
And
I don't
so
know
in
if
5
that's a
years,
generic name or what.
hey, so in 5 years we'll be hearing, if you take a Zolpidem and
Well,
you have experienced blah 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 blah.
One more thing to throw in here, just to throw a little at the VA. Many years ago they gave one of my good friends EpiCap, and this was gonna solve his pain issues. He was gonna, that was really gonna help him. Spelled backwards, placebo. But
Jesus. Okay.
yeah, we testified with Congress Senator Shays. We went up and testified on that one. The VA didn't like. Well, I mean, but you know, I just had to throw that at them. I mean, that's what I've lost my trust. I don't know what
Right.
to trust anymore, and they've
Right.
had me on so many different psychiatric meds. They had me on one called FX. Man, that stuff was horrible. I'd be sitting here like we're talking right now, and it was like I'd reboot. It was just the wildest thing. And you
Well,
tell them that, hey, I'm having all these problems, and they just don't want to hear it.
they're going to have magical mushrooms at the Houston VA. Hey.
Well, see, that's one of the reasons I left Oregon. I don't care what anybody puts in their bodies. I really don't. I'm very,
Right.
whatever you want to do is fine. But that was one of the things I saw in Oregon, man. They legalized mushrooms. And I don't have a problem with legalizing marijuana. I think it should be legal. But everything else that they legalized or
Crazy.
decriminalized, I mean, it's just, that's what's happened to Oregon.
Right. Right.
It's horrible, but that's that's one of the biggest things that's happened to that state is, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, tonight's been a great program. I think we got a lot of information out there. And Mike, do you have anything else you would like to add?
Oh, heck, we could do a couple more podcasts because
Dang right. Yeah, yeah.
we didn't hardly touch on anything, but yeah, I mean, this has been great. It's been wonderful interacting with everybody, and anybody ever has any questions, feel free to contact me through my email address, which is ordesertvet@aol.com. Oregon Desert Vet at AOL.com. So just OR Desert Vet, and reach out to me. I'd happily help you as much as I can. And
AOL.com. You're really showing your age there, Mike.
I know, right? I'm probably one of their longest subscribers. So, I mean,
Wait. So when you signed on tonight,
talking that.
So when you signed on tonight, did you get the old?
No, I'm wireless. I'm wireless.
But Mike, I do want to bring you back another time if you'd be willing to come back on.
Oh, anytime you got room.
I would love to bring you back on, and but I think the next time I'm going to bring you on, I want to go strictly talk about the Bradleys. Next time.
Whatever you want to talk about. I got plenty of experience with the Bradleys.
Yeah,
MLR. I got plenty of experience with M1.
MLRS.
113.
I know that stands for multi-launch rocket system, because I know that Kevin doesn't know. He hears the acronym. It shoots off a lot of damn things that make what Mike you say, clear one will clear a click.
Yep. Complete grid square. You're gone.
One a what?
On the receiving end.
One missile? I'm not an
clear
guy.
click.
Entire grid square, 1 kilometer square.
Oh, okay.
And that's 12 rockets. That's one launcher shooting a 12 pack.
We have BB guns.
Yeah. There's videos. There's videos out there. I haven't looked lately, but there's videos out there. If you want to see what you don't want to be involved with, look at that.
Right.
That's why the Russians aren't very happy with us right now. It's a very effective platform and very accurate. If we only missed one time, we did miss, but we just somehow we undershot them. But to put it in perspective, so you can understand, when we came up on them, their breeches were loaded. They were cocked and locked. There wasn't a soul to be set because they thought we were going to walk it in on them. Well, we just missed them. That was all. We don't shoot twice. We shoot our mission, and we go. And we missed them somehow. And they left. They were not waiting for us to walk in. Oh no, we don't want to be a part of that. But yeah, it's pretty incredible. And yeah, I've got a lot of experience, like I said, with APCs, with M1s, Bradleys, MLRS. If it's armor and it's semi-heavy, I've got some experience.
So an APC is an armored personnel carrier, is what that stands for, Kevin.
I knew that. Believe it or not, I knew that. I used to watch Major Dad.
Yeah. The M113, the APC, it's been around forever. So, I mean, definitely Vietnam era stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what all our ship was Vietnam era. I mean, we had 3-inch guns. And they swear that they sunk a ship during Vietnam. I'm not gonna say anything. They didn't.
Don't say it.
I
Never
just,
know.
I just don't see how. I just don't see how. I mean, it's like that. It's almost like hand cranking that shit. Like what the kind of cockamamie shit is
Yeah,
this?
but a 3-inch shell, that's a pretty big shell. I wouldn't want to get hit by it. I mean,
Right, right.
yeah.
They when we had a reunion, they literally told us they sank a ship, enemy vessel, and they were the first one, I think, to sink one. I was like,
Really?
a damn cargo ship, because we kind of got an argument. What is our ship considered, combat ship, or is it considered a warship? And Vietnam says warship, we say combat. And oh man, it's a big rivalry right now.
I guess.
You know, but I mean, hell, all I
So
know is what?
So you were on a supply ship, Mike. I got a question. This is going to sound, because I'm not an armor guy. I mean, I was at Fort Stewart for what, a year. That's the home of the 24th Infantry Division, and that's where the M1s first, or at least one area that they came out. My question is this: when you guys go on a deployment, how do you guys go about getting resupplied with stuff? I mean, how many? I'm kind of curious about that, because I honestly don't know. How do you guys go about getting resupplied?
They drive back.
Oh, you smart ass. That's
That was all. That's basically, I hate to say it like that, above my pay grade, but they always kept us supplied. I mean, it was, the rear echelon, they'd run our fuel, they'd run our ammo, they were.
But how? If y'all are going out on a mission, y'all are out there for a long time.
Every armor unit has what they call a top track, a M577. It's an APC, but it's a little bit larger, and it has all the communications and that's your command track. So they coordinate every bit of that. Whether it's we're coming up to this SP, or we're going here, we're going to be there. The fuel trucks would be there waiting on us. Chow would be there waiting on us if we were
okay.
Now, it was always called in for us, and support. They were always there. I mean, where they came from, I really don't know.
And now all they do is grab their cell phones and go, "We need some food."
That's probably not too much of a stretch.
But it's all coordinated at the battery or company or regimental headquarters or whatever you're dealing with. I was most of the time with CAV, so I like to using the word company is kind of awkward for me. So we were CAV units, and we were troops. We were called when I was in Bad Hersfeld, it was 3rd 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. I was part of K Troop. But it's the same thing as a company. It's just it's a CAV slang basically. And then when you go over to FA, Field Artillery, they've got their own slang, so you just deal with it, and they're called batteries. It's the same thing as a company, but it's you have a battery, and wherever the top track was, that's where all the command was, and they make those decisions. And
I could do a whole damn episode on this, man, because I find the Bradleys fascinating. I mean, that'd be the only thing I would want to do in the Army.
It is fun, especially the chain gun. That thing is just awesome. But at the same time, I saw one Bradley that took a hit in Iraq, and it melted. It literally melted, because the fuel tank's on the inside right next to the turret. And he took a hit, and it just, unless you were a Bradley guy or mechanic or whatever, very familiar with Bradleys and the colors inside and out, you wouldn't have known it was a Bradley. It just melted into a big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like the engineers had come behind and done a what's that charge? I can't think of it right now, but thermite, or I can't remember what the charge name was, but they would literally, if it broke down and we couldn't recover it, they would just demo it on right there, but it's pretty incredible. It's made out of aluminum, and it takes a hit.
Now,
anywhere near the fuel tank, and it's game over. And the same thing with MLRS, but MLRS has got a whole lot better protection, and they're a little bit better chance, because they're not quite as forward as the Bradleys would normally be.
So I asked about your construction we had all the 20 tons, the 5 tons, the deuce and a half, all stuff. So we had the ability to move all our own shit. And I would kind of generally, hey, I'm going to go forward and help move all the food and stuff. Why? Well, because it's the food. You know,
Hey.
so, and what were you going to say, Kevin?
As you get on telling this story,
Well, it's not much of really a story. When we moved, they literally, so we had dozers and everything. They would say, okay, we got to move. So, you know, we'd be somewhere for a few days and they didn't want to load all the shit up. They'd have trucks already loaded with other stuff. And they say, doze it. Just drop the tents and doze it. Literally bulldoze over all the shit and go.
We did the same thing.
You know, and then now when your unit, so I was with the 249th Engineers and we were deactivated. We left everything in country. But you guys did you guys ship your stuff back to Germany?
Our actual track vehicles, yes, we did. But I was when we were at KKMC, even well before we got to KKMC, but KKMC was our last dump. I don't know if you remember the 88 or well enough to know that it's got a big spade on the front of it. Well, I would lay the spade out and we would dig a huge trench, just throw everything in the trench and fill it up. I mean, if I was to go back to KKMC today, I could probably go find several of them that I dug.
Well,
we just filled it in. You know, we buried all kinds of crap that we were not going to bring back. And
I do want to ask, does anybody have any questions? I mean, I would like to start taking questions towards the end of it. I know, by the way, Jason did say, do y'all know what a Sea Whiz is?
Oh.
Yeah, damn right. It's the most baddest ass gun ever, man. I think it shoots 50 cals and like.
I've seen it, and I'm just like in awe of that thing.
Yeah.
What is it called? What's it called?
A Sea Whiz.
No, I don't know.
What does it do?
Well, I don't know much about it because we didn't have one because we only had 3-inch guns and we only had 50 calibers because we weren't good enough to have it. But
is it something like the Phalanx? Is it like the Phalanx?
Yes. It's very similar to that. And so, hey, and by the way, Jason said, "Nice, John." When you went, you know, it's one of them. You know,
that really boils it down, right?
a Phalanx, big gun. It shoots down missiles that are coming in. And you know, I guess have you ever seen the movie? What was that one that had the USS Missouri in it? The battleship. If you watch,
the one with
the aliens.
With Steven Seagal in it or something.
No, this one had it was called Battleship. It's more of a like a 2016 like.
I know what movie you're talking about.
Right,
okay,
and every missile they shot down, that's what they used.
I thought that was the Phalanx.
It is a Phalanx, but we call it a Sea Whiz.
Somebody put something on. Somebody had a picture of that Sea Whiz. Says, look, they put a picture of a minion on it, so it just looks like a minion, and it is bad.
Oh my God! I never even thought about it look like a minion. Oh my gosh, and it does.
I saw that online somewhere not recently, or I watched the video.
It was funny as hell.
Oh my God! See, people are getting good attitudes. I really like that. Minion.
And you don't want to piss off a minion. You don't go down. And
you know, I want to thank you for coming on, Mike.
Oh, I want to thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. It's been enjoyable.
And to let everybody know, we have opened up a store. An online store, and all proceeds are going to be for Veterans Connecting, and it'll be in the link below. You can check it out. You can design your own shirts, and our design it has everything in it. But we have our own designs because we put down our shirts now. Will also have the design on there, the Forgotten War, Desert. You know, the Gulf War, the Forgotten War, and to me. I think that's important because our war was forgotten.
For sure.
and whenever I had the guy come out and design me some of the designs on there, he was like, "Well, you want any writing?" I was like, "The Gulf War, the Forgotten War." Oh yeah, the Forgotten War, because that's what it was, and everything. And so, uh, everybody go check it out. Click the link below after the show. It's below the link on every show. Go check out the store. It's really neat. We put it together, and it'd be help the veterans out there. And all proceeds go to it.
I had a question for you. I noticed on one or two of your podcasts you were talking about some CBD oil. What are you using that? What are you taking that for? What is it helping with?
Well, that helps my neuropathy.
Does it?
And it has no THC. It's 100%. It is organic. It's like the NT factor of CBD.
Okay.
And they have the CBD oil, and it's supposed to help with brain fog. And I got to order that stuff. But the
Wild Branch, correct?
Yeah, Wild Branch. And the sob that I put on my feet, I can't even wear tennis shoes. So I was like, well, before I even introduced this product, I wanted to test it. So we went out and we went to this Christmas festival that my wife likes to always go to. Yeah. And it's a lot of freaking walking. So I said, I put the sob on and I put my tennis shoes on. Not one time did my feet hurt all night long. I was impressed with it. And so I called and I talked to him. I said, I have no problem putting this on my program. It works. And I hope everybody tries it. Anybody suffering with neuropathy, you really need to try that. And all natural stuff. I mean, you really need to get away from processed crap.
Amen to that. Roger that. Whatever. Yes, you do.
You do. I mean, the crap they put in our food sure in the hell ain't helping the Gulf War vets. It ain't helping anybody.
No,
and it's not helping our kids, or anything like that. Anything organic that you can get your hands on, do it. And that's what I liked about Wild Branch. It's organic. Yeah. It's as organic as I am.
I've tried a few of the CBD oils way back when, but it just never really did me much good. But maybe now that they've had a few more years, and maybe they've
well this one here, you can go to the Wild Branch. There's a link in our bio that you can click on it. Mm-hmm. On YouTube. You can click the Wild Branch, go in there and look at the product. Look what it's made out of. I mean, no THC, but from what researchers and everything, they've gotten so good at that stuff now that I mean, you could get CBD from Walmart. It seems like HEB or Kroger's or anything like that. But whenever a company like NT Factor, Dr. Nicholson was saying, he researched it, he studied it. That's what these people did. It's just like that. And I believe in the organic products now.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely. I mean, we spend the extra money. If I was still raising kids, I probably couldn't do it. But all our beef, most everything we buy is organic. And I just dropped $1,400 on a half a cow just a couple of days ago. But he's grass fed, grass finished. A little bit of grain finished, but majority he's totally organic.
There's no damn way I could raise the kids anymore.
So you must have a big old deep freeze then, huh, Mike?
Yeah. You guys will have to come up for a barbecue. Down, you'll have to come over.
Yeah.
But,
my wife keeps on trying to get me to buy another doggone freezer, and we don't have any kids in the house anymore. I was like, what the hell? Like I was saying earlier, I kind of joke around. We're in Cornfield County, USA here in Iowa, and sweet corn is a big deal. And she was, for our next door neighbor, a Korean War vet. He just lost his wife. And so my wife's cooking stuff for him. And it was making, it's sweet corn time. And she says, well, we need to get a freezer. I said, for sweet corn? And she goes, well, that, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, we've had like 3 or 4 freezers. Every time I have one, we have it for like 3 years and then I get getting rid of it. So that's what I mean. But
I got a deep freeze. I got a refrigerator with freezer and another refrigerator with the freezer, all packed with deer meat.
Really?
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's a lot of deer meat.
Hey
Yeah,
man, I tell
yeah.
you what, I like deer meat. I like deer sausage. That's my favorite thing to eat.
Deer sausage, deer jerky, that's good stuff. Yeah.
Heck yeah. But you know what,
Even
guys?
if they aren't as small as dogs in Texas, I mean, but
Now, that's not funny, man. Maybe from Iowa, corn fed, everything. A bunch of shit. In Tennessee, same thing. They're big up there. Yes, they're about the size of a German Shepherd or Doberman Pinscher, fully grown. Well, guys, man, I really appreciate you, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And-
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
so
Don.
much.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Like I
John,
said, it's been fun.
John, I'll have to put up with you every week. I'm gonna pay you
Oh, it's
back.
always
I'm gonna
fun.
pay you back for that deer comment, by the way. Guys, y'all have a wonderful night, man. I appreciate it.
You
and,
too.
and we're
Thank
gonna
you,
do
Ken.
another episode, and it's
Anytime.
just
You got
gonna
my
be
phone
about the
number, just let me
Bradleys.
know.
Amen.
All right, Roger that. You guys have a great night. Great meeting y'all.
Great meeting you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, likewise. Take
Thank
care,
you.
Mike.
Yep, you too. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Go For Side Effects. If you have any stories you would like to share or just have any comments or questions, please email me at kevinsimon@goforsideeffects.com. Just to let all of our listeners know, we have opened an online store. All proceeds will go to helping veterans connect. The link will be in the description below.